Yo, what's up guys, and welcome to the first video on my channel. This channel is purely for testing out how to make videos and how to talk in English, and in this video I will show you how to create fake players with packets, specifically with PacketEvents, the API, because we don't want to deal with netty Minecraft packets and netty protocol because it's annoying. So what we are going to do is create a command with which we can spawn in a fake player, like here. We can even spawn in a fake player with their custom name and skin. Oh, and my skins look 3D-ish because I'm using a client-side mod. But yeah, I would say I'm gonna show you how to do it, and I hope you guys will enjoy this video. So I'm going to create a new project. It's going to be called Fake Players, very original, I know. You can decide the location. I already picked my location. We are going to use Maven as build system because it's the one I know the most and with which I can help the most. For the JDK, it would be better to use a 21 JDK because we are going to use the latest Minecraft version and it runs with Java 21 as far as I'm concerned. You can just download the JDK here, or you can download the JDK from the web and then use it here. But I would just stick with 21 or 22. It doesn't really matter because in Maven we are going to configure 21 to be used, so it should be fine. Now we're going to go to the advanced settings and we are going to define a group ID and artifact ID. Essentially, each plugin or each Java project has packages, and those are essentially folders with which Java knows where everything is, and it's naming, and it has a naming convention. We are going to use, if you don't have a website or anything, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. You can use me because it's you, .manu, it's my name now, so I'm gonna use Manu. You can use me.jab if your name is Jab. And then artifact ID is essentially going to be the name of the plugin. So we're going to go with fake players, I guess. And then we're going to create a project. We're gonna make the screen bigger. And now, don't be scared. It looks like a lot, but it's very easy and I will explain everything in detail so you can get started on creating your plugins. First of all, I'm gonna do this because it annoys me that it's a notification. Alright, so each plugin or each Maven plugin or each Maven project for that matter has a pom.xml. It's basically a file which directs how to build the plugin or how to build the jar file and what dependencies to use. It's essentially a dependency manager mixed with compiler, Java compiler essentially. Alright, we already have the basics defined: group ID, artifact ID, version. We are going to add one thing, package in jar, just to make sure it will be a jar file once it's compiled. And now we're going to configure the properties. We're going to delete everything except those two, and we are going to change this to release. Properties are like variables. You can use those variables in parts of the plugin, and it's pretty comfortable to just set properties like plugin.name, and then you can give it the project artifact ID, for example, and then artifact ID is right here, fake players. So plugin.name property would be fake players. That way we can just change one thing and it will be changed everywhere. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put this in a GitHub repository or in this video description, and you can just copy and paste and ask questions about it. You can skip forward. You can just copy paste it. If you want to know more about this, I will talk about it while I'm setting it up. But it won't be that into detail, and it will be pretty boring if you just want to go down to the real stuff. I mean, down below there are the chapters, so you can just skip forward if you want to. But for the people who are going to stay, we are going to define some more properties like main class. This is for the plugin.yml file because each Minecraft plugin has to know has to have an entry point, and our entry point is our main class, or yeah, our entry point is the main class, and Buckets or Paper or whatever knows what the entry point is, and yeah, it's basically just to let Bucket know where our plugin's main file is, but it's not that important to be honest. Sorry. Okay, we're going to go with like this. Yeah. Then we're going to define our plugin version. It's going to be the same as our project version, so we are going to just use the why does it not work? Oh. We're just going to use the project version, so it's so we just have to change this one thing and it's done. Then we have our plugin's name. It's going to be our oh my god, yeah, we already did that. Okay, sorry. Then we're going to create the plugin description, create fake players with PacketEvents. Very important, our compiler release will be 21 because we will get errors if we do, or warnings if we do 22, and we don't like warnings. Then we're going to define our output directory. I'm gonna copy paste mine, you can copy paste yours. It has to point to the plugins directory of your local server. If you don't have a local server setup, again, I don't want to grab views or anything for such simple things. You can just look at any of the countless tutorials up and you can easily create your own local host. Okay. Now, very important, we are going to set up the repositories. Repositories are places where other server software and general software lies in, and we can then pick each jar from this repository. It's like a bucket full of jars, and we can then pick out each jar with the dependencies. I'm very bad at explaining stuff, but like I said, this YouTube channel is just about me learning to talk properly, and yeah, I mean, if you like it, you can subscribe, but I don't really care, to be honest. Red. We are going to use Paper MC because with Paper is essentially the new way to go about Minecraft plugins. If you want to use Spigot, you can use Spigot, but it's pretty outdated, or it's not outdated. Paper is just more secure, more stable, more quality of life. It's generally newer. It's a hard fork of Spigot. I mean, if we want to go down this rabbit hole, this would take a whole new YouTube video, but you will just want to use Paper. And now we have to fetch another repository, so we have to use PacketEvents repository, and it has its own repository. So we're going to Google PacketEvents, we're going to go to the GitHub repo, and then we're just gonna get started, and then you can see we can copy this repository. We need the releases, not the snapshots. Copy, and then we have to set up the dependencies. The dependencies are the jar files. It's not really. It's the jar files. Let's say it's the jar files. Yeah, it's the jar files. So our dependency is Paper because we need to use things from the Paper API, and if we use Paper as a dependency, we can use things from the Paper jar, which will help us out a lot. And our other dependency is PacketEvents, and we are just gonna copy it from the website here. We are going to change out the platform with Spigot. I know we are on Paper, but it doesn't matter. Spigot equals Paper. we're going to use the latest paper API version. And very, very important, you have to use, or you don't have to, but if you don't want to stuff your jar file full with junk or with duplicates, you have to use scope provided. This will tell Maven that we already have paper and packet events for this matter on the server. If scope provided is missing, Maven will think that we don't have it and will shade or will build the plugin with the whole jar from paper, and it's pretty massive. So it's not as massive as the low taper fade meme, but it's still pretty massive. So I would just keep scope provided. I'm talking way too much, I'm so sorry. Alright, we're going to cover the build part of the Maven compiler. So first of Maven. First off, we're going to set up the resource part. Resources are absolute files, which are files like the plugin YAML, which we are going to need for each Java plugin, or yeah, for each plugin, Minecraft plugin, you need a plugin.yml. And usually you don't have to define it here, but I like to do it simply because we can include it here. And then we can enable filtering. And what filtering does, okay, oh, this is a typo. And what filtering does is it lets us use those properties we defined up here in the plugin.yml file. So again, we can only change things here and it will apply everywhere. And it's very comfortable. And if you have bigger projects, it's very satisfying. Yeah. So I would say we are going to create the plugin.yml right now because... Oh no, we're not going to create it right now because of the chapter thing. Yeah, okay. Then we're going to define plugins. Okay. I don't want to talk too much about this. It's annoying to talk about and I don't know everything, so I'll just copy paste from my template I wrote before. And if you have questions about it, you can ask ChatGPT or you can ask me in the comments. I will probably ask ChatGPT as well, but it could be possible that I know the answer. Why am I even talking about this? I'm so sorry. Okay. You guys saw I pressed on this little blue dot or this little blue button here. It reloads the Maven project and makes sure the dependencies and the repositories and everything is up to date and loaded. Yeah, if you don't have the button here, you can press here and sync all Maven projects. It does the same thing. Now we're going to create the plugin YAML. We have to go into the resources tab because in our pom.xml we defined our plugin YAML in the resources and we want to use those properties we defined up here. So we're going to go into the plugin YAML. Oh, it even says what it's missing. Okay, interesting. Each plugin YAML file has properties. The main properties you need is the main class. You remember in the pom.xml we defined the main class with the properties variable, so it's very comfortable to use it here right now, and if we have any changes we can change it instantly. Those are just the... I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Name is the name of the plugin, version is the version of the plugin, description is the description of the plugin. It's very straightforward, to be honest. Author is the author of the plugin, which is going to be you or me or whoever. Oh, we didn't even define it. Doesn't matter, we're just gonna put in Manu. Then we have API version. This is somewhat important. If you don't have it defined, paper will cry a bit in the console, but it doesn't really matter. But out of respect for the paper API and respect for our server, we're going to use the API version 1.20. And now one important thing is we have to add a dependency, because our plugin runs with packet events. It needs to have packet events installed to run. So we need to make sure that packet events is instantiated or enabled before our plugin. So we have to simply put packet events here as a dependency or a depend. And this will make sure that packet events will always be loaded before our plugin, because we have to use functions and methods and whatever from packet events. So we can't use them if packet events isn't loaded, right? So we just have to use packet events here. Okay. Now we can actually start coding. So we need to first go to our source directory, which is where all the code is located. Main Java. It's like the Maven. It's the Maven default. We don't want to play too much with it. We just keep the Maven default and keep everyone happy. Then we are going to create a new package. We call it me.manu, or in your case, whatever you put here in the main class. Enter. And then you're going to create a new Java class, and you're going to name it Fake Players, for example. I don't know what you named your project. You can name yours whatever you want. And now we're going to start actually coding. Each plugin, each Java plugin, each Spigot, Paper, Bucket plugin, whatever, has to extend Java plugin. This little thing here tells each server-side software that this is a Java plugin, and it will then load in all essentials that Paper needs and we need, so we know it's a Java. So yeah, basically we need it. Okay. Now we have two default methods which every plugin uses. It's the onEnable and onDisable. I don't know if you've already watched other YouTube tutorials about Minecraft plugins. I mean, this one is a bit more advanced, to be honest, but I mean, if you're a beginner and you're curious, I will still talk about it, because I don't really care. We have chapters down below. I will put everything in chapters, so if you're bored with certain parts, you can just skip ahead. Okay. So onEnable and the onDisable. What is this? This derives from Java plugin, which we are extending upon. Java plugin is an abstract class from Bucket. This has onEnable here defined. This onEnable will be called here when the Java plugin is set enabled. So basically the method body is empty. Because it's an abstract class, we can override this method, and then we can add functionality to this method. So essentially, Spigot gives us the freedom to do whatever we want whenever the plugin starts. And it's important for bigger plugins. In our use case, it's not even important. I mean, we could define an instance of our plugin, but we don't even need this. So I'm sorry for the people who are skipping ahead, but just to show you, I mean, not to show you, we don't really need this, but every plugin has it, and I feel incomplete if we don't add this. Okay, now we're going to do the actual fun part. We are going to write the code for the fake player. We're going to create a new package. We're going to call it NMS or whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to create a new class called Fake Player. And this is our fake player from PacketEvents, or from packets essentially. Alright, we will start with creating a map of UUIDs and fake players, or fake player in our case. Fake players we will call it, and it's going to be a new hash map. We have to somehow manage our fake players. We have to know we have to get a way to access each fake player if we want to remove them later on. So we are going to create a static map which we can access from anywhere. Each fake player has, or each entity for that matter, has an entity ID. This is very important for netty or for Minecraft internally, or for the Minecraft server software internally, to differentiate from each mob. It's not UUID, it's the entity ID. It's something completely different, and each mob has to have it. Also, we have to create a profile UUID. This will be the player UUID of the fake player, so we can have the skin from the fake player, for example. Now we need another UUID, and this is going to be the fake UUID, because we are going to spawn in a fake entity, and we don't want to use our own UUID, because then we would have two of the same people on the server and the protocol wouldn't allow it. So we are going to create a fake UUID, and the profile UUID will simulate all names, all skins and stuff, and the fake UUID is going to cover our main account up. It's very bad explained, but you get the point. I mean, you're here because you want to know a few things about packets, and I mean, you're a bit more advanced in this matter. We're going to define a name, because each player has to have a name if we want him to, or want them to. We're going to define a location where we're going to spawn the player in, and now we're going to create a constructor with the profile UUID, with the name, and with the location. Alright. So we are going to set the entity ID. Usually the entity ID is some random number, some new random or whatever, okay? But luckily we use PacketEvents, and PacketEvents has a reflection util class, or a Spigot reflection util class, which reflection, as the name says, reflection, it searches for the latest entity ID in the server, and if we use generate entity ID, it will then generate the latest entity ID. So it's pretty neat, because we don't have to create our own atomic integer and go with a random number and hope it's not a duplicate, or I mean, it won't be a duplicate, but it's essentially much better to use this one, because it's cleaner. It's just clean, okay? It's clean to use it. I like it, so we're going to use it. Then we are going to set the default things in a constructor. We're going to set our variables like this, and now as you can see, we have fake UUID up here, and we are going to create a fake UUID with this Java method. Very neat. We can just create a random UUID, and it's pretty cool. For some reason we still have, oh yeah, it's fake player, not fake players. Okay. Now we're going to write the spawn method, I would say, because you guys are here for the spawning part, I'm assuming, and I've taken way too long to explain other things. I'm sorry about that. First off, we are going to add the player we are going to spawn into our map with the fake UID we are going to use. So let's do it like this. Yeah. This refers to the class, just so you know. Then we are going to create our first packet related things, which you are here for. So first we have to make the player visible to the server. How we do that is we are going to create a list of player info update packets. Dot player info, yeah. And it's going to be an array list. Okay. So how PacketEvents I don't know if you're even here to learn about PacketEvents. I'm really just here to talk. I'm so sorry for the people who are just here to spawn a player, but you can copy paste the code anyway, so it doesn't matter. after we created the array list or the list of player infos, we are going to create a user profile. It's going to be user profile equals a new user profile from PacketEvents again. And a user profile, as you can see, it takes in a UUID, a name, and I mean, you can keep it with UUID and name, but we want to have skins because skins are nice looking and we want to use skins. So we're going to use this one. So we are going to use the fake UUID in this case because we don't want to manipulate our own UUID or our own account session on the server. We are going to use the name. And we are going to use the Mojang API utils, which are also from PacketEvents, and we are going to request player texture properties. This method gets the texture properties from the Mojang session server, and we don't have to do all that ourselves. Again, it's just a nice util method from PacketEvents, so we can just we need a UID, of course, and we are not going to use the fake UID this time because fake UID would be any UID which we are not sure if it even has a skin. We are going to use the profile UID we defined, which our profile will be. Then we are going to add a player info to our array list. And a player info is just a user profile. Yes. Now we are going to actually create the update packet. And we are going to use the info list. Oh, no, never mind, sorry. We are going to add an action, and our action is add player. Yeah, and of course, and we have to add our info list here. Alright, this looks pretty complicated at first glance. I can assure you I didn't immediately get it as well. It's pretty complicated to explain it as well, so if you want me to, I can create a whole video about packets and Minecraft protocol, and I can talk a bit about it and you can ask questions. I'm not sure if I can get it right, but I think I know what's going on here in some way. So if you want me to, I can also create a video about it or go more into detail about it. If you have questions, put them in the comments. I will answer them as fast as possible. But let's just keep going with the tutorial now, because the people who actually want to spawn the player are probably furious right now. So we are going to create a for loop, and we are going to loop. We need this for loop to send the packets, because okay, we're going first off we're going to create a for loop. Okay, so we are iterating over every online player on the server, and then for each online player on the server we are going to use PacketEvents get API get player manager dot send packet, then to who do we send the packet to our online player, and what packet do we send? The info update packet we defined up here. If you so this is to display the fake player for each player online. It's very this is a very bad implementation, because if a person joins the server later after we executed the spawn method, they won't be able to see this fake player. You would have to create your own system for that. You could create a fake player factory. You could create a listener and listen for the join event, and then add the fake player to, or send the player a packet for this player. It's very primitive what we are doing here right now. It's just to give you guys the core concept, and if you want to, you can expand on it. But I will keep it simple here, just because I think it's just for teaching purposes, so it should be fine. Okay, now if we use the spawn method, or if we execute it, nothing will happen. I mean, not nothing. The packet is going to get sent, but we won't be able to see anything, because what this essentially does, it just makes visible to the client actually. We send a packet to each player with this user profile and this player info. It's essentially a tab packet, but we won't be able to see it in the tab list. It's just to simulate a new player joining, because we can't create a player instance or entity without having an actual player joined, you know. So it's like we manipulate the server a bit and take advantage of it to be able to create an fake player later on, which we are going to do now. So now we are going to actually create the fake player. This is straightforward. We are going to again create a wrapper for the spawn entity packet, like this. Okay, and like I said before, we need to use the entity ID. So, I mean, each entity has an entity ID, and we are going to use it as the first parameter. Then we are going to use the fake UID as the second one. Then what entity do we want to spawn? We want to spawn in entity type dot player. Yeah, we want to spawn in a player, of course. We want to, now we have to do the location. We have to use another util class from PacketEvents, because we would have to create a vector, I think. And we don't want to do that. I think it's a, oh no, it's a protocol location, and it uses a vector 3D. We want to just use our default bucket location, so we're going to use another PacketEvents util class and we're going to use the from bucket location method, and then we are just going to put in the spawn location. Then we have to get the yaw of the spawn location. Then we have to use 0, and then we have to do a new vector 3D 0, 0, 0. This is just, okay, this is wrong. What? Oh, it's entity types. And oh, get yaw. Sorry, mistake. Okay. So what we are doing here, I can explain it better here. So we have a wrapper for a packet. Our packet in this case is the spawn entity packet. PacketEvents creates wrappers for each packet to make it easier for us to just put in easy parameters. Don't have to do anything with bytes or bits or anything in that with that matter. And we can just keep it clean, keep it simple with what we know. If we want to go deeper into this, we can go here, and then we can search the spawn entity here. We can search for the packet, which is a client-bound packet, spawn entity. And then you can see exactly this is the packet. And what a coincidence. Not actually a coincidence, but you can see the first field is entity ID. In our case, it's also entity ID. Then we have UUID, type, location, head yaw, data, and velocity factors. And all those fields are those parameters we use here. It's simply, it makes things easier for us. This is what PacketEvents was made for, to make things easier for plugin developers to create, to manipulate packets or to use packets. Okay, I'm talking really much and doing very not that many things, to be honest. Okay, now we're going to create another for loop, do the same thing, and now for the spawn entity packet. Now, if we were to spawn in this entity, we would get a result. Don't be fooled by that. But our result would look dog shit, because we don't send any skin metadata with the packet. So this skin would just be a very slim. I mean, okay, I can show it right now. It would just be the skin without the outer layer, and every skin without the outer layer looks pretty bad. So I think we want to fix that, and yeah, let's do this now. So we do add outer layer. Yep. This needs a list of entity data, and we don't know the type, so we're going to use a question mark here, or we're going to use the type later on. Skin meta equals new array list. So then we're going to add a new entity data, like this. Yeah, we're going to add a new entity data with the index 17 and with the data types .byte, and we're going to manipulate the bytes 0x01, 0x01, 0x02, 0 why doesn't it work? Okay. 0x04, 0x08, 0x10, 0x20, 0x40. Okay. So what we're doing here, I can show it as well. We are sending entity meta. Yeah, we are setting entity metadata, and if we look at the entity metadata format, where is it? Is there a player anywhere? What? Huh. Okay, here. Okay, now. So we have player here. And then you can see we have an index here, which is, we are using index 17 here, which is here. And the type is byte. And now you can see we have a bit mask and what each bit mask means. So we set 0x01, 0x02, 4, 8, 10, 20, 40. We are setting all those to enabled. So cape is enabled, jacket is enabled, sleeve, pants, hat. Everything we set to enabled, and that way we can render the outer layer as well. So this is what this does essentially. We haven't sent the packet yet. So I mean, we haven't created the packet yet, to be honest. So we are going to create the packet, entity metadata packet, and we are going to use the entity ID and the skin meta. Why are we using the entity ID here instead of the fake UID, for example? We need to set the metadata of this specific entity, and with the entity ID we have defined for our spawn entity packet, we can use it here. Now we're going to loop again over all players. I mean, you can also create a helper class for this, and I mean, if you really want to set up a big project, you have to do, I mean, if you want to set up a big project, you are not going to watch this video because you're going to be a bit more experienced. So I'm not going to talk about this right now, but it's pretty complicated. Okay, nice. Now we have our spawn methods set up. I mean, if we want to, we can add boilerplate, all getters, but I mean, we are lazy, we don't want to do that. We are going to need a way to spawn in the fake player. So we're going to create a new package. We're going to call it commands. And now we're going to create the fake player commands. Yeah. I mean, you probably know how to create commands, so I'm not gonna go very much over this because I've already talked way too much. Okay, here. Okay, my mouse is gone. Okay, here. Okay, we are first going to check if the sender is a player. To make things easier on us, hang on a second, we have to... I like to change the parameters to OG parameters I used back in the days, so I'm gonna do this. Yeah, return false. If label is spawn player, let's just keep it simple, keep it clean. If we don't have an argument, we are going to create our first fake player. And if we don't have an argument, we want to use ourselves as the player. So we're going to use our UUID, we're going to use our name, and we're going to use our location. And then we're going to return true. We can even add a message, but I don't think we want that. We want to keep it clean. Now, if we have more args, then we have a target who we want to be a fake player. Profile UUID. Then we have to define a UUID we want to use for the fake player. So we can either we are going to create an offline player. Yeah. With the target name. So now we're going to check if our offline player has played before or if our offline player is online. If they have played before, we have the metadata, or we have the data or the UUID for this case. We have it somewhere in the memory of the server or in the user cache, so we can just set the profile UUID equal to the offline player UUID, because it's null safe. If our player has not played before, meaning no player has ever joined, let's say we want Notch's player skin, for example. Notch has not joined our server, so we won't be able to pull his profile UUID from our server cache or whatever. So we are going to want to try and catch an exception. Let's do it ignored because we're Sigmas. So we're going to try to get the UUID from our player name. And this is yet another helper class from PacketEvents, which does the same. We get the session server, or no, the profile. We get the Mojang profiles server API, whatever, and then we get the UUID from that. We have to put it in a try catch because the servers could be down. If the servers are down from Mojang, we can't get the UUID, of course. Okay, and now we know we have a UUID. Then we can create a new fake profile or fake player with target name, with profile UUID we defined before, and again our location. And then we're going to use spawn. Up here, I'm sorry, I forgot, we need to add .spawn. And return true for beauty. I don't know. I mean the comment executor classes are generally ugly. I would recommend to use a framework for comments, but in our case it's it's fine. Now we added a comment called spawn player. We have to add it in our plugin YAML as well. So we're going to go ahead and create and do something like this. Very ugly, but it's very simple, so it should be fine. White, oh, it's orange, okay. And now we have to register our comment with get comment spawn player .set executor new fake player commands. Okay. Now we want to build the plugin, so we are going to go ahead up. Either you can go to Maven, go here, go to lifecycle, and then go to package, yeah, package, double click it, and it will build the plugin. And usually the default location is right here, the target location. But since we are moving our output directory to this defined output directory in the pom.xml, it will instantly build it into our pom. So into our plugin folder. Yeah, I'm sorry. So if we go ahead and look here, we have fake players snapshot 1.0 snapshot. It has been built right now. And I would say we're going to test it out right now. We're going to press start.bat. I mean, I hope you already have set up your local host. If not, like I said before, you can watch any of the countless tutorials up on the web. We're going to wait for it to start. Now the socket has started already, so we can join. And now we can type /plugins and we can see fake players here, create fake players with packet events. Yoo-hoo. And now if we use the spawn player command, you can see we have our player spawned in. And if we do jab, we have jab here. Nice. Okay. Thank you guys for watching this video. I know it was a bit of a hassle at first, but I'm trying to get used to it. I don't want to do excessive editing on this channel. I don't even know in what direction this channel will go. Maybe we'll go and also play games. Maybe it will become a German channel and I will create real life videos. I am not sure. It's just a freestyle experiment. Regardless of that, if you need help, you can just comment, put a comment down below, and I will try to answer as fast as possible. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I could help you out with the tutorial. I hope I could give you a new perspective. I could give you new infos about Minecraft that you didn't know before. If not, I still hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day. See ya.